Hello, this is Dread from Epic Builds, and in today's video topic, we'll go over Poison Serpent Strike Beastmaster. Finally found its niche as a T4 Jurla farmer, safe and effective. Before we get into the video, if you've been enjoying the steady flow of Last Epoch content lately, consider leaving a like on the video and subscribing, as that's the best way to support the channel. Serpent Strike Beastmaster is one of my favorite builds, and it got a huge facelift with the legendary patch. Having access to stuff like legendary Drow Stings, Viper Tails, and Bleeding Hearts, it means we can effectively boost our build's power level quickly, as even 1 LP versions of all three of these leads to significant upgrades to the build. I have a lot of LP gear on, but most of it is replaceable or only one stat is required, like the Draw Sting only needs attack speed or the Bleeding Heart only needs resistances. As long as you have a Titan Heart and a Throne of Ambition, the rest can easily be no LP, so it's all just quality of life to speed up the kill. Without LP gear, it's a 3-minute fight-ish instead of 2 minutes, which isn't too big of a problem early on. Just need to spend a little bit more time dodging correctly, but this build is brain dead during the actual fight, so it's not really that bad. So if you're completely new to the archetype, pretty much Serpent Strike gives us flat dodge and increased damage for our poisons per time we've attacked recently for 4 seconds. This is insane with poison because it also shreds resistances per stack of it on the target, 5% for normals and rares, 2% for bosses, and stacks infinitely. This means if we scale attack speed, it not only scales our percentage damage for our poisons, it also scales our shred from our poisons, and of course adds more poisons, which is of course all more damage. So having 300% increased attack speed is insane, as it leads us to having 500k DPS on the target dumbing. Much more if the aspect of the shark could work on it, and easily makes up for the fact that we're built towards being tanky as possible. Normally, this isn't alone to scale our poisons hard enough. That's why we run Aspect of the Viper. Aspect of the Viper is a buff that grants 100% increased poison chance and 100% increased damage over time. We can also add on 50% poison effect later. This poison effect not only multiplies our poison's flat damage, but it also our poison shred, effectively double dipping. We also run Aspect of the Viper effect on idols and gear, allowing us to improve all 3 aspects of it, leading to a lot of single target. Now, there's the obvious question, Dread. I've seen Serpent Strike builds do 2 million DPS on the dummy. Why do I care about a build that only does like 500k to 1 million with Aspect of the Shark stacks up? Well, Mr. Strawman, have you seen one of those tank a cold wave from T4 Jurla? Or literally sit in a 300 corruption Orbis's abilities for a minute straight? No, you haven't. So shut up, Tom. So, with the rest of this character, we're of course running a Throne of Ambition to scale a little bit of armor percentage, because having more armor means the more stuff we can tank, and as long as we're at 20 stacks of Throne of Ambition stacks on Jurla, we can tank almost everything, as long as we don't get hit by too many things at once, which isn't that much of a problem considering that we have dodge. Like, we have like 60% dodge at all times thanks to Serpent Strike, as we have a little bit of increased dodge in places, but we also gain flat dodge per time we've attacked recently, which of course is really strong as we are attacking very, very fast. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this intro. All that being said, let's get into the video, shall we? Alright, here we are in clip with the build. So I'm just going to go over the Jurla fight overall so that you understand what to actually do. So for the beginning, you want to use your Warcry twice to make sure you have your Frenzy and Haste up, of course. Then, of course, as well, make sure you have a Warcry up. I made a mistake here. Make sure you have your Warcry up so you can have your Berserk stacks up. Build up those nice armor stacks, and then, of course, DOA. This build doesn't abuse the bug, which is currently, going to be fixed, so it doesn't really matter. So that's why I ignore the bug. And of course, we're just waiting around doing war cries. You want to use your movement speed to dart out of those, and of course, you want to make sure that you're stacking up your Throne of Ambition stacks while trying to get rid of these Divine Pillars. You don't have to actually technically get rid of these Divine Pillars, you can tank them. The problem is if you have too many things hitting you at once, you will die. So you need to make sure that you're not having like two things hitting you at once, which is pretty easy to do considering how much movement speed we have. So here I can just sit on Jurla. I could have actually tanked that cold wave, but it doesn't matter. I dodged that shot, but I could have tanked it, doesn't matter. Dodge helps a little bit too, makes it so that we can actually tank like 2 or 3 things at once as long as we're dodging a few of them. Of course, here, you do not want to try to tank the cold wave when you don't have Throne of Ambition stacks up, obviously, that's a bad idea. So you definitely want to dodge that initial one, but everything after that you can pretty much dodge. So here she's going to do the cold bolt. Of course, not the bolt there. I dodged it again. Here you go. I actually moved out of the way. So don't be afraid to move out of the way of attacks. You have so much movement speed, you might as well do it. You can even weave it in with attacks. So one cool thing, I don't know if you noticed there, but our war cry actually with our setup right now, it pulls enemies. So it pulls Jurla so that we can pull her out of this little pull here. Like we can actually pull her. Watch, I'll show you. There you go. I pulled her out of the center. That's what makes this build a lot better for these kind of content, because obviously you want to be able to pull her out of the place you can't walk in, right? So here I do another phase. This takes a few phases, but it's nowhere near as long as like Steel Mage's 4-minute long, like, kill of Jurla. It's actually, a decent amount of time. There you go. See, I took an actual tanked an actual shot there. Here you go. Yeah, I tanked the actual thing, did like 1400 damage, nothing too terrible. Tanked another shot there. Dodged the cold wave. Sometimes you can dodge the cold wave, sometimes you can't. Obviously, as long as you have your Throne of Ambition stacks up, you're fine. So I'm just waiting in a corner. Obviously, this is a very safe fight as long as you play correctly. So here I'm going to show you that I can actually tank these lightning bolts, because you can either dodge them or not get hit by them. Now, you can't do it if you get hit by everything. I'm waiting for me to get actually hit by a cold wave, which is sad. I guess I've been hit by the cold wave before, trust me, it's not that bad. And of course we kill Jurla here. So the damage only ramps up if we're standing still and attacking her and stuff. So you definitely want to be just hammering on her the entire time. And the ability of being able to tank it all while doing it helps a lot. This is actually a Jurla with a lot of increased damage as well. So obviously I was able to tank most of it. So the only difference between this and if you didn't have like much LP gear is the difference is literally just how long the fight lasts. Because with the way how fast you are, you can set your void pools properly. It just introduces a little bit more room for error, but this build is so tanky like that it's not even that hard to do so. Like for instance here, I'll show you. I'll wait for a void pool. Like I barely get ticked to half health, and just so you know, Beastmasters, most of their HP is in the bottom half because of stuff like Berserker and all that. So like those void pools literally tickled me. So it's actually pretty easy to set the void pools as well. So if you're not very good at like setting void pools, this build's good for you because you have a good solid like 3 seconds, 4 seconds before they kill you. And of course, overall, the build's very tanky for T4 Jurla, and keep it simple, stupid, obviously. But yeah, with all that being said, let's get into the actual video now, shall we? Alright, here we are in game with the build with the Serpent Strike Beastmaster. So for the rotation, we're going to put our Tornado on Numlock. If you don't know how to Numlock trick, just Google it. A lot of D3 players know how to Numlock trick. Now, so for the actual rotation is we War Cry, of course, to get up to six stacks of Maelstrom, and of course we just simply attack the dummy. Now, of course, we get the Berserker stacks. We're supposed to get Aspect of the Shark, but the dummy doesn't count as a rare enemy, so we actually don't get like the actual Aspect of the Shark stacks, which would of course increase our damage significantly up to like 600, 700k or 800k or whatever. The problem is, of course, we're missing like that attack speed. We'd be at, I think we're at, let me look here, I think we're at 228% attack, 246 attack speed. Now we'd get like the rest of the 50% more attack speed if we had Aspect of the Shark. I think it's even more than that. I think we're at like 340% attack speed. Now, that would give us significantly more damage because of the way this build works with the exponential growth of the poison ticks. Obviously, as you can tell, our dodge is up really high. We'd have way more damage. But obviously, in the footage, you can see we have plenty of damage for T4 Jurla. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the skill rotation. For the skills, we have Serpent Strike. We have a 23 Serpent Strike. One comes from our Jarlsting, one of the cool things about Jarlsting. Then two from the Relic. My Relic's absolute trash. Don't use this. Use something else. So I take 4 points travel into Nagasa's Venom, although the 40% poison chance and duration is really nice. 1 point to poison the venomous intent. So this Serpent Strike casts Poison Spit. It doesn't get it, like poisons on hit. It's like kind of mediocre. It's not really worth talking about. It's like whatever. But it reduces our poison duration as well. But it's the node behind it that matters. We take 5 points into Chrono Strike, so we gain increased damage over time for lasts for seconds if we've used Serpent Strike recently. So as you can tell, I'm attacking with Serpent Strike and getting a lot of increased damage. Then of course we do the same thing, 2 points travel here, then 5 points into Scorpion Strikes, which is the same exact node except for just poison damage, which doesn't matter because we're all poison. So this gives us a lot of increased damage. I can show you on the dummy here. As I get more attack speed, we get an insane amount of increased damage, as you can tell. Yeah, so I'm surprised this hasn't been nerfed yet. So, and of course, as you can tell on my dummy, it's like 1,000. Of course, with the aspect of the shark, this would be even more. So we have a lot of damage. And of course, it could be even better if I had like an aspect of the Viper chest, T6 aspect of the Viper stuff, aspect of the Viper here, all the way here. Like this build could do way more damage if I didn't want to survive. And of course, 6 points into Primal Reflex. We're again to dodge for 4 seconds after using Serpent Strike. So we get 60 flat dodge. As you can tell, we got to like 60% dodge with not much increased dodge, which is really strong because it means that we can, like, of course, tank a lot of Jurla's attacks for free because, a lot of it can be dodged, which means that, not as stressful as it could be with that build. And of course, Orbis is an absolute breeze with 60% dodge, and Monoliths feel like an absolute breeze as well. Then we have Warcry here. We take 2 points travel into Staggering Roar, then 1 point into Apprehend. This makes it so that we get a pull instead of knockback. This is important because it allows us to pull Jurla around. 1 second. It allows us to pull Jurla around and, manipulate her position so that our Serpent Strike can always hit her with the melee attack so that we don't have to worry about her bad AI. So that helps a lot, and it makes us feel a lot less bad for playing melee. 1 point travel to Kinetic Extreme, 2 points travel to Shredding Howl, 1 point into Shallow Breath so we can reduce the cooldown so we can spam it more, 1 point into Juggernaut. This is actually really strong because you can use this to become invulnerable for a Cold Wave, for the Void Bolt. Like, you can use this to become invulnerable for attacks, which you can tell, and it feels really good. 1 point to Berserk. We want Berserk stacks, mainly because 2 points travel into Brutality, then 3 points to Fury Strike, so you get 60% increased attack speed. Like I said, increased attack speed is Bay, because the more attack speed we have, the more poisons we have, the more poison shred, the more poison damage. It's just absolutely nut tier. And of course, 2 points into Breath of Terra. This is enough healing. This keeps us topped off, even with Bleeding Heart. Like, we're good to go with this. Then 1 point to Purging Stout. In the dungeon, there's a lot of things that apply poison, so being able to cleanse poisons every 5 seconds is really strong. And of course, behind my head, we grab 3 points out of Whirlpool. You could technically put 4 instead of 3 with this node, but I found 3 to be fine and 4 to be kind of overkill because it would suck up our mana. Currently, with 12 mana regeneration, just having 3 nodes in this is completely fine, and we sustain our mana. As long as we're, of course, we can just spam it too. Now, for Maelstrom itself, the main things that are important is to grab this mana efficiency, the duration, the haste, because we want movement speed, the frenzy, because we're not running frenzy totem. 3 points is Sleep Footed. This just gives us even more flat dodge on top of everything else the Serpent Strike is giving us. 3 points in the chill. This makes it so Jurla is chilled as long as we're in melee range, which means she's slower, which means she goes through her attacks less often, which gives us more time to DPS her down. Chill is very strong for bosses, and if you underrate it, it's you need chill. And of course, 3 points into Healing Winds for the healing per second. Of course, this is just like about 40 healing per second, but it counteracts all the damage we take from Bleeding Heart, which is all that matters because, as you can tell, since we are a Titan Heart build, we don't have any health regen, so we slowly tick down. But as soon as I use Warcry, we're back up and we're fine. That's pretty much it for Maelstrom. Then for Tornado, stereotypical utility Maelstrom setup, attack speed, cast speed, movement speed. That's it. It's usual, it's like whatever. Then Spriggan Form, this is a little special. So this is new. So in Druid here, we have 5 points into Thicket Thorns, which makes it so we cast a Thorn Shield on us when hit. And this Thorn Shield gives us a little bit of base armor, but in the Spriggan tree, as you can tell, we get a little bit more armor flat with the shield and increased armor per shield. This is absolutely insane. In Monoliths, we have like 50%, 60% armor while doing Monoliths. And then while doing Jurla, we have like 80% armor thanks to Throne of Ambition. So this is literally just a better Ice Thorns when hit is literally just better than Ice Thorns when hit, because not only does it give us flat armor, it gives us increased armor, and it also gives us an extra hit in an AoE, which of course procs other stuff, which is really strong. Of course, the recast chance, we get more. Like, this is really strong setup. The duration, so they last longer. Everything about Thorn Shield is insane for us because it just gives us so much armor and helps us scale our Throne of Ambition stacks on single target. It makes it so we're tanky while clearing. So like all of this is just free DR, which is really cool because it makes Spriggan Form into something that's specable for most builds. So that's really cool little interaction there. I expect this to fully get nerfed, so it doesn't matter. This entire build in like a lot of different ways is probably going to get nerfed, by the way, because Poison's probably going to see the axe soon. So have fun with it while you can. So for the passives here, we take 6 points into Gift of the Wilderness for the HP, 8 points into Primal Strength. We're actually building a lot into Strength because we want to abuse the fact that we're running those Thorn Shields, and so that whenever we get one, we're at like max, we're at a lot of armor, so we're actually scaling Strength, and also gives us increased damage, which is cool. Then 5 points into Hunter's Restoration for HP, 5 points into Berserker. So this is just extra endurance. Pretend this is just endurance plus. It's really strong. 5 points into Shaman to Ancient Stones for the increased damage. We dumped to the Totemic Furies combo because we didn't have the points, and it's not worth running a Frenzy Totem if we already have Frenzy from Maelstrom. And then, what am I doing? And then for Druid here, 7 points into Spirit Warding so that we actually get just a bunch of HP. We want as much HP as possible. And then, of course, 3 points travel into Chitinous Plating for some endurance. And, of course, we can get 5 points to Thicket Thorns. And then 5 points, or 4 points here, into Wind of the Leaves for just 12% increased attack speed. Like I said, attack speed is multiplicative because of how it scales. So having as much attack speed is important. 8 points into Earthsign Strength. We want the Strength, and of course the DR is insane. We're Jurla because we're always upper butt. 4 points travel into Boar. Obviously, Aspect of the Boar is really strong because we're always up Jurla's butt and we tank a lot of stuff. 5 points into Call of the Pact for the HP flat. 5 points into Porcine Constitution for the DR. Just for reference, we probably need like, I don't know, like 2,400, 2,200 to actually tank Jurla. So literally you could take this off. But obviously you want the 15 DR. So like, you want at least like 2,400 health before you start. Obviously depends how much armor you have to. Then of course 3 points into Primal Strength for the Aspect of the Boar percentage on hit. As long as you're hitting a bunch, you'll have this up all the time. 3 points into Life of the Wilderness. I just needed a little bit of HP, so I put points into here. 2 points travel to Circle of Life, so this 10% is enough to keep all 10 stacks. You actually don't need all 5 points, especially since we don't need the actual aspect of the Shark stacks for clearing. We just need it for Jurla. 1 point into Dragon Slayer so that we get aspect of Shark stacks on our single target. 7 out of 8 points into Ocean's Maw. This just gives us, I think we're at 80% increased attack speed from our aspect to the Shark stacks. And of course, Feeding Frenzy so we can stack them. This node is nerfed, but it's still strong for our build because it's just free attack speed. And like I said, attack speed is multiplicative with the entire build. 10 points into Viper Fang, increase the melee attack speed, really good for us. And of course, Aspect of the Viper, which gives us the buff. 10 points to Rattlesnake for the increased poison effect. And that's really strong as well because increased poison effect is insane and probably one of the things that will get nerfed when poison gets nerfed. Of course, that's it for the passives. Now for the gearing here. Helmet, Aspect of the Viper effect, Vitality, Strength, or Dexterity. HP, endurance. This is perfect helm. You could technically seal that vitality and run like dexterity, because if you did not know, dexterity will increase your damage significantly, because not only it gives you 4% increased damage, it also gives you 4% chance to poison a melee hit, which is really strong for us considering all of our poisons comes from our weapon. So we want to stack as much dex on top of the strength as possible. So having a sealed helmet would be really good here. Amulet, only the elemental resistance matters for us. When we have 2,000, 3,000 increased damage over time, that 59% increased damage over time literally does nothing for us. So the only thing that matters is the Ellie res for me. I'm just capping my Ellie's res with it. Technically, you could just like have fire res there here with whatever. Like it's all dependent on blessings and stuff. That's one problem with the legendary system is you're not going to have exactly what I have. You're going to have to use your brain and kind of figure it out for yourself. Sadly, it's just how it is. But yeah, the only thing that matters here is resistance. You just want resistances to cap your resistances, or percentage dodge. Percentage dodge would be pretty good if you want it for this build. Draw Sting. Don't use this. Don't. Well, only use this if you hit attack speed and poison chance. The increased damage does nothing for you. You only care about the attack speed and the poison chance. There is a base, I believe. I have not seen it yet, but there is a base spear that is way better. I can show you here. You want a base. Where is it? It's right here. It is. You want a base coiled bident with attack speed, with like T6 attack speed, poison chance. This is just as strong, if not, this is just as strong as this jousting here. This obviously gives you +1 and a bunch of increased damage, but this plus like increased damage or whatever would be just as strong. So you definitely want poison chance on this and attack speed. That is what will make your jousting really strong. And since it's a low level unique, it will make it really easy to get. Titan Heart, you want aspect of the Viper effect on this? I bricked it and got HP, although HP is pretty cool. You don't actually need a +1 Titan Heart. A regular Titan Heart will do just well because that DR is really strong. I just realized it's 32% increased health. There are probably better Titan Hearts I could be using right now. But of course, the 15 DR while wielding a two-handed melee weapon is very strong. Ring, you want strength, dexterity, of course, dexterity so that you can scale that poison chance. Strength so you can scale your armor. HP, resistance, endurance, crit avoid, whatever you need. Viper Tail, you only need like mana regen on the Viper Tail, or mana regen on the Bleeding Heart, or on your ring, or on your Spirit Catcher, so that you have a little bit of mana regen so that you can sustain the War Cry. So I'd have like 1 mana regen roll anywhere. And of course, the HP is pretty cool, right? But it's not like the end of the world. Dexterity, strength, resistance, crit avoid, perfect ring. Wing guards. I got strength on mine. I was trying to go for attack speed, but strength rolled, and strength is cool. It gives us armor. Who cares? But it's like, whatever. Sad that it rolled strength, but like, this proves that you don't need LP wing guards to make this build work. And of course, Solarum Greaves. These are just my babies, if you just had HP, regular HP, it would just be fine. And of course, Spirit Catcher +2 Serpent Strike's really strong because it lets you get more increased damage, but it's not required. You could always run Dexterity and Strength, of course, and of course, Resistance. This is a very bad Spirit Catcher. You could probably have way better if you actually cared. Where'd that last point go? There it is. But yeah, you could have way better if you actually cared. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the gearing. For the idols, I'm running a Throne of Ambition. You don't actually need this for anything other than Jurla. You actually don't need it for anything really, to be honest, other than Jurla. You can run like an aspect of the Viper idol like this one. This one's perfect. That healing effectiveness is really strong because it applies to your Maelstroms and your Warcry, which means makes them heal more. So having 2 of those, and then having 4 aspect of the Viper effect idols here. I don't know what you could have on the prefix. Most of them don't matter. I think poison chance is really strong, but good luck getting that. So aspect of the Viper effect idols are really strong. And of course, I'm using resistance idols, but like you can use 4 of these and then 2 of these, and you could get like easy over 200k DPS, especially if you hit aspect of the Viper on your Titan's Heart. I just didn't really give a shit because guess what? I'd rather kill Jurla consistently than die to Jurla consistently. So that's really fun. But yeah, with all that being said, thank you all for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day wherever you're at, and bye.